Hi guys, and welcome to the Daily Punt Morning Saturday Preview on the 13th of January. Going to be taking a look today mainly at the Warwick card. It has to be said it's the card that I've been delving into in a bit more depth than the Kempton card, which, both cards are difficult. It's Saturday racing, what do you expect? But I'll be at Warwick today. I'll be working in the ring. So I've had a good look at the card all the way through, kicking off at 12:40 with this novices handicap hurdle. Just the 18 runners to choose from. Nice easy start. I think the market's got it about right. Equus Miller, I thought, was 1-4 handicaps. That run last time out at Bangor was one that very much screamed, handicaps down the line, and the market's got it right. He's around about a sort of 6-1 chance this morning. If you go on the fact that he's a little bit unlucky, probably should have won his first start, but for falling at the last. And if you want to go on that form, he's probably nicely in here by the shape of around about sort of £8 to £10, I think. And there's definitely improvement to come. For me, he's the one to beat Equus Miller, but say he's already been well found by the market, so there's no great value. Shrugmore Lass did nothing wrong last time. Looked very much an improved horse, like a lot of Henry Oliver's. First time in handicaps, he's got a good strike rate with those. Up £9 for that. But no reason that she's not going to run her race. Trying to find something at bigger prices. Odd Males on the drift this morning, out now to around about sort of 12 and 14 to 1. That looks big enough. Good jockey bucket in Sean Bowen, and if you want to look at his handicap market hurdles compared to his chase form, he's quite nicely treated here. Will definitely come on for that last run at Lingfield. Quite an eye-catching run that was. I would expect him to go quite close. And similarly now, another one that's drifting out badly in price, Bossman's Ladder, who was tried in a 3-mile 2 novice hurdle here. Didn't run that badly, actually. I thought it'd be one for handicaps, but the fact that he's drifting today just puts me off a little bit. But there's definitely some ability with Bossman's Ladder. It might jump a little bit further than this, though. We'll see. As I say, market's probably got it about right. Equus Miller probably the one to beat, but no great value. 115 is first of the handicap chasers, where I've had a bet here. I've had a bet on Big Jim from Alex Hales' yard, who's at his best would pick this lot up, I think, and carry them. He's a very bold jumping front runner on his day. He's better grade than this. He's winning better grade than this, and won this race, I think, back in, I want to say 2016. I might be wrong about that, so don't quote me on it. But he has won this race before. I think he's been looking at it. He's been lined up for another crack at this. And it's not the hardest field to beat. I think Swift Crusader, a little bit disappointing for me last time. It's early days with him yet, so he may leave that form behind. I totally get that. And I'm Joe King. I was hoping I'm Joe King would be the saver here and be a bigger price than he is. I thought he ran okay at Aintree for a long way before the classier sorts took over. I think he's the danger to Big Jim. Azeri, I think, might just want better ground than this. Vivaccio, I can't have the yard at the moment. Too many from the Venetia Williams yard that are disappointing. Red River Man just wins when he wants, and he's a summer horse, really, and I still think he's a pound or two too high. There's a case to be argued that Somchin is too big at 25. He can pop up in these sort of races, but not really for me. I think at the prices, as I say, Big Jim, in the hope that he's back to something like his best, will be the one there for me. 150, Novices Chase, listed race, good race this, and I am all over Duel at Dawn here, who I think should be a bit shorter than 9 to 4. I don't see why he's the price he is, because if you look at his form now against Size in Tennessee last time out, where he stuck to the task, looked like the winner for a few strides, Duel at Dawn that day. They just didn't have the turn of foot that the front one had. And he just looks an out-and-out stay Duel at Dawn. This will suit him. This test will suit him. He was trying to give weight, don't forget, to Sizing Tennessee at Cheltenham last time as well. It can't be overstressed that. He was trying to give him a bit of weight as well. And given that Sizing Tennessee has since come out and franked that form with good run against Yanworth, it just looks better form for me. I think he wins this en route to having a crack at the National Hunt Chase. And again, I wouldn't put you off anybody. I wouldn't put anybody off having a crack at 25's non-running a bet for the 4 mile itself. There's some of that kicking around, and that's in the hope that he wins today. And I think he will. Miss Parfois, I've seen her a couple of times. She's a little bit keen, but she's doing nothing wrong. She keeps impressing with her wins, and her attitude's pretty good too. I'd want to sort of see her again pre-race, I think, and this is a lot harder than the races she's been winning. Flinton's got a lot of ground to make up with Duel at Dawn, and the fact that the ground is slightly drying out isn't going to help him. I think he needs it like a bog. Big River disappointed last time. It looked quite good first time up. Needs to bounce back. And the danger could be Western Climate. I like Western Climate here at a price. I'm surprised he's around about 10, 11 to 1. I'd certainly have him, nearer the likes of Flinton and Big River in the market. I've been quite taken with him, and he's another one that just looks an absolute out and out stayer. There's definitely more improvement to come from him, and although this is a step up, I don't think he's got quite as much to find as the figures will make out. I think he'd be the danger, and he might be worth a small saver at 11 to 1, but as I say, Duel at Dawn for me. Fourth race, handicap hurdle. This Potence. People think these are sort of guessing games because a lot of these are still trying to sort of protect marks and the like, but for a lot of these, particularly the ones down the bottom of the handicap, if they want to actually run in the big one themselves, they need to be winning these races. They've got to go up in the handicap and win these races, so they're not like they used to be. Market again is probably spot on with Black Ivory at the front, who was very impressive last time. Got so much in hand. 5 to 1's probably about fair. I don't think it's neither over nor underpriced. It's where I'd have it, I think, in an open race. Not mad keen on the second in No Hasselhoff. He's got some quality form to his name, but slight concerns about the ground for me with No Hasselhoff. The Organist looked good last time, up to 3 miles, but I did rather think that he pinched that race. The 2 up the straight, Falls in Milan, and the other one got involved in a bit of a battle, and the Organist just came late to nick it, really. Needs a bit more. Crispin each way, I couldn't put you off. 10 to 1's perfectly acceptable, absolutely certain to run its race, and similar comments apply to Sykes. Malapi's on the drift now. Malapi was short for this in the week on the anti-post. He was sort of second in, and you can get 14 to 1 this morning for Malapi. I think that might be a bit of value. I think the Baileys have always thought quite a bit of Malapi, and a really good ride from Sean Bowen last time. Let the front two get on with it and get arguing, racing early up the straight to Utoxeter, and then just kept hold of Malapi, brought it there at the last and won going away. Again, plenty left in the tank, I thought, with Malapi. Has burst a blood vessel, I think, on one occasion, which is a slight concern. That aside, has got plenty going for it today, and again, no weight to carry on its back, 14 to 1, and if they do want to be having a crack at the big one, as I say, going to have to be running well or winning here. Temple Ross is one of those horses I can't work. I think there's definite talent with Temple Ross, but he's just so hard to work out. Wouldn't surprise me if he runs better today. And at a massive price, if you look at one of the outsiders, Kobo Lobo, who is a huge horse, well, won fences next season, Kobo Lobo. He's going to be the stable representative here. I was fully expecting to see Falls in Milan rock up in this race, given what John Joe had said to me earlier in the season. This was going to be Falls in Milan's race, and the fact that they're relying on Kobo Lobo instead. Well, maybe, but John Joe's aren't running that well at the moment. That's your concern, but certainly it will stay and won't mind the ground. 3 o'clock then, one of the bigger races of the day, the Leamington Grade 2 Novice Hurdle. I think this is difficult. I really do think this is quite difficult. They're making it sort of 7 to 4 with Mr. Whipped this morning, best price that's available with 365. I did a tissue for this and I've got them slightly bigger than that, mainly because I've got one or two of the bigger ones a little bit shorter. Mr. Whipp's done nothing wrong, but that form, you look at the Newbury form, and I know he's carrying the penalty that day and it looks pretty good form, but there were some big priced horses not a million miles away, and the second and third haven't come out since, so we don't really know what that form is worth. It's that sort of is the sticking point for me. It's not what Mr. Whipped has done. What he's done is fine, but 7 to 4 looks short enough, given Count Maribal's already got the form in the book, the better form in the book, arguably. He's 5 to 2 this morning, just ran out of stamina late at Cheltenham last time. Would have every chance on the sort of repeat of that. Kilbrick and Storm's let the form down since, but Count Maribel had already won and shown a similar level of form, so I'm not worried about that. He's going to make the pace. Choose Your Weapon's been impressive in 2 at Chepstow. Good attitude first time up. Looked a little bit green, and then once straightened out, really ran through the line. I was quite taken with him. This is obviously harder, but he deserves his crack at this. And the one I've had a couple of quid on at a big price is Night in Dubai, who's got a bit to find on the figures, but again, I was very taken with him at Wetherby. Nice horse, this will definitely improve, and his point-to-point form already sort of marks him out that he's going to be better than he's shown. this trip will be absolutely ideal for him, I think. And he's around about 12s for a yard that do well here down Skelton. That just looks a little bit too big for me. I sort of put him in around about 7-8 to 1 for this, so I've had a bet at 12 to 1 on Night of Dubai. In what is an open race, I do want to try and take Mr. Whipped on here in some way, shape, or form. I'm happy to be proved wrong, but Night in Dubai, 12 to 1 will do for me. Onto the Betfred Classic. Put a line through this. I've got absolutely no idea. I originally thought Mr. Proach, despite top weight and looking sort of nicely in the handicap was giving him a helping hand after Newbury, where it was a pretty good effort. But do you want to see him? This is a different test. It was decent ground at Newbury that day. Don't forget that it was quite good ground that day. This won't be. This will be a lot slower, and I'm not entirely convinced Mr. Proach wants this. So around about 6 to 1, I can give him a miss. So Mangan looks like the one that's been laid out for this. Again, another Dan Skelton one. Don't like to lay these out at his local track. He has to prove it stays, but there's probably more to come, I think, from Sir Mangan. So he's got to be thereabouts. The ones at the bigger prices that made some appeal. Topper Thornton, who caught the eye at Sandown last time, travelled very nicely. Just sort of run flattened out a little bit in the home straight, but it should be spot on now. I think Topper Thornton will stay, won't mind the ground. 20 to 1. You get in 4 places in various places this morning. That does make some appeal. And I'd love to see Cross Park run well. There are major stamina doubts with Cross Park, Little Cross Park, but he does generally jump his fence as well and attacks him if his stamina lasts out, and it may. I think he's got a squeak as well. I put Milan's bar up for the Welsh National last week, ran an absolute stinker, never went a yard. Leaving it alone this week, so that's probably the cue for it to absolutely hose up this week. And then we've got a bumper to finish the card off with, which obviously you can't really go getting stuck into until you've seen him in the paddock. They've gone for All On OK as the favourite, but Baby 10 makes arguably a bit more appeal on the breeding. The fact that Nigel likes to win this race. I think he's won it twice in recent years, so probably Baby 10 on paper in the last for me. If you're asking me for nap of the day, it's going to be Big Jim in that second race. I'm hoping that they get Big Jim off in front and that he runs his opponents into the ground. That's the plan, guys. As I say, Kempton just too difficult for me. The 205, the 2.5 mile Class 1 chase is just, it's too difficult. Waiting patiently at 7 to 4 is short enough, but you try and take it on, and I did this last week with a couple of horses, tried to take them on, and you got to look at what you're taking them on with. I know Godzone's a grade 1 horse at his best, but I'm just not convinced at the moment. I think I'll be using this as a warm-up for something else as much as anything, and it's just a race I totally want to leave alone. And similarly, the Lanzarote, way too difficult. I had a shortlist of about 8 for it this morning, and I'm just happy to leave those races alone and concentrate on Warwick today. So there we go. The very best of luck then, guys, and see you all next week.